Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. How are you today? I hope you are doing well. So, I'm Carmila Indah Kasanahuda. I would like to present about teaching reading. In this occasion, I would like to tell you about 6 points of teaching reading. The first is introduction. The second is significant findings of approaches of teaching reading. The third, the types of written language. The fourth, strategies for reading comprehension. The fifth, type of classroom reading performance. And then the last is the principles of designing interactive reading techniques. The first point is introduction. Reading is about understanding written text. It is a complex activity that involves both perception and thought. Reading consists of two related processes, word recognition and comprehension. Word recognition refers to the process of perceiving how written symbols correspond to one's spoken language. Comprehension is the process of making sense of words, sentences, and connected text. The second point is significant findings of approaches of teaching reading based on Brown. There are four. The first, bottom-up and top-down processing. Bottom-up processing happens when someone tries to understand language by looking at individuals' meanings or grammatical characteristics of the most basic units of the text and move from this to trying to understand the whole text. And top-down processing of language happens when someone uses background information to predict the meaning of language they are going to listen to or read. The second is schema theory and background knowledge. Schema theory describes the process by which readers combine their own background knowledge with the information in a text to comprehend that text. The third, the role of affect and culture. Affective factor plays major role in ultimate success. The affection of reading has propelled many a learner to successful acquisition of reading skills. Similarly, culture plays an active role in motivating and rewarding people for literacy. The last is the power of extensive reading. An extensive reading component in conjunction with other focused reading instruction is warranted. The third point is the characteristic of written language. The first is permanence. Written language is permanent, so the reader has an opportunity to read again and again. The second is processing time. Most reading contexts allow readers to read at their own rate. The third is distance. The task of the reader is to interpret languages. Next is orthography. Orthography skills refer to the ability to identify the patterns or specific letter as words, eventually leading to word recognition. Next is complexity. Written language has most complexity, called nature of clauses. It has longer clauses and more subordination. Next is vocabulary. In order to understand a text, readers need to know the meaning of individual words. And the last is formality. It refers to prescribed form that certain written message must adhere to. And the fourth point is the strategies for reading comprehension based on Brown. There are several strategies exactly. The first, identify the purpose in reading. The second, use graphemic rules and patterns to aid in bottom-up decoding. This is especially for beginning level learners. And use efficient silent reading techniques for relatively rapid comprehension. Is it for intermediate to advanced level? And then next, Skim the text for main ideas and also scan the text for specific information, and use semantic mapping or clustering, and then guess when you aren't certain, and analyze vocabulary, distinguish between literal and implied meanings, and the last, capitalize on these course markers to process relationship. The fifth point is the types of classroom reading performance based on Brown. You can see the pictures. Exactly, there are two kinds, oral and also silent. So oral reading is the act of reading printed or written text aloud, and is often used by the teachers to track and measure a student's overall reading ability, including reading accuracy, pronunciation, fluency, comprehension, and understanding of punctuation. And silent reading may be subcategorized into intensive and also extensive reading. Intensive reading is usually a classroom-oriented activity in which students focus on the linguistic or semantic details of a passage. And extensive reading is carried out to achieve a general understanding of a usually somewhat longer text. The last point is the principles for designing interactive reading techniques based on Brown. There are some principles. The first is, in an interactive curriculum, make sure that you don't overlook the importance of specific instruction in reading skills. There is a much to be gained by focusing on reading skills rather than simply expecting the students to learn proper reading. The second is, use techniques that are intrinsically motivating. You can use different genre of the text to illustrate the point along with the student's goal. Next is balance authenticity and readability in choosing text, and also encourage the development of reading strategies. The fifth include both bottom-up and top-down techniques, and also follow the SQRRR sequence. There are 5 steps: survey, questions, read, recite, and review. The next principle is subdivide your techniques into pre-reading, during reading, and after reading phases. The first, pre-reading, spend some time introducing a topic, encouraging skimming, and also scanning. And during reading, there may be particular facts of rhetorical devices that students should take note of while they read, giving them a sense of purpose. And after reading, comprehension questions, vocabulary study, identify the author purpose, discuss the author lines of reasoning, and also examine grammatical structures. And the next principles, build some evaluative aspect to your techniques. Consider some of the following overt response that indicate comprehension. Doing, the reader responds physically to a comment. Choosing, the reader selects from alternative posts orally or in writing. Transferring, the reader summarizes orally what is read. Answering, the reader answers questions about the message. Condensing, the reader outlines or take notes on a passage. Extending, the reader provides an ending to a story. Duplicating, the reader translates the message into the native language. Modeling, the reader puts together a toy, for example, after reading direction for assembly. And the last, conversing, the reader engaged in a conversation that indicated appropriate processing of information. Those are the explanation that I have explained, everyone. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, please drop on WhatsApp group. I'll see you.